Good morning, everybody. Welcome. I'm going to go through this pretty quick. Those of you who are locals will probably believe all I say, and those of you from out of town will think I'm crazier than hell, okay? So let's see if we can make this work. Where do I point this, guys? I guess we don't have to. Well, if you did, there we go. Where did that little square come from? I'm going to talk about kind of where do we go from here. What happens when you get in the top 5 of almost everything? You know, in our office, if we're not in the top 5, we said it doesn't matter. We're not interested in it. But let's look back. I'm going to start with the United States very quickly. And as you can see, the beginning of a little bit of a slowdown around the world in 16, probably continuing on into 17. And we're going to see if we can get over the hump in 17 as a country. These are not bad numbers. You know, there was a time when 2.5%, 3% was great growth in a country. Today at 2.5%, if you've got a diverse economy like the United States, it's a decent number. Gain in GDP for 17, that's good news for us because we are now almost an absolute mirror of the United States economy, one of the most diversified states and metropolitan areas in the country in terms of employment. So what the United States does, we kind of do. We're hoping on consumers, and consumers are interesting. Look at this number. The only time that government had more money than that was right after World War II when we were building tanks and airplanes. But you can see consumers are still continuing to buy. And that's a great thing for all of us because it is a consumer market that drives most of the taxes in the metropolitan area. 2.7 million jobs per year. Incredible in that savings rates are at almost an all-time high, and yet people are spending a considerable amount of money on housing, and that's a good thing to us. These are good things that create purchases if you're buying a new house, but the idea of savings rates at almost 6% is an extraordinary good news for us because we have lived on our credit cards forever in this country. Come on, darling, let's go. There we go. And you can see what they're paying, what you're paying for. People over the age of 65, you can see that they're buying more services than the 25 to 34-year-olds. That's an expectation, and in a community that's growing like Denver, people entering into their first household are folks who buy lots of stuff, and that's good for us. Now, we all talk about the millennials. The baby boomers are just beginning our departure from the world. The World War II folks are just about gone. And Richard Nixon's the silent majority. Ain't no majority, no more, okay? But I'm worried more about the next gens. Look at that. Holy crap. Those people are going to run everything, and they're not even born yet. But you look at those three, we have a whole new rat going down the throat of a python in the demographics. And it's a good place to be. If you're a millennial, if you're next gen, God love you because you're going to change the way we live in this community, and that's going to be important. Retail sales going on about the way that we want them, about 2.5%. And home sales finally starting to slip a little bit. That's good news to us when you look at what we are looking at in terms of the median cost. We now have the highest median home price and the fastest increase against all our major competitors. It's difficult for us. If there's one thing that's become a challenge for us, there is no such thing as the Midwest in our office anymore. The sticker shock of coming into this market is difficult. So we are left coast and, surprise, surprise, Western Europe are the two places where our product is coming. That's testimony to where we came as a country, or as a state, in getting on the global map. We all know this great deal, $1,400 for an apartment. You can actually, if you had the down payment and you lived in the poorest county in the region, which is Adams County, you could have a PMT much less than your rent. Not a great story for us, and not a good place to be. And you can see that little blue line between the dark green and the gray. That's the multifamily stuff. And for us, that is the challenge because, as we all know, we're not building any for sale products under the price of $400,000 in the metro area, thanks to a group of very successful trial lawyers who have been able to do class action suits for condo projects. And we are still stymied in that area. We are no longer in the top 10 in fastest growing states. You'll notice that Arizona is now number 7. People say, what happened? What happened there? I said, they had no economy when the recession started. They got a little bit of an economy today. They were kind of, build, baby, build kind of strategy. But you'll notice those little guys over in Utah. These guys are tough. They act in accordance with what everybody believes. They can deliver stuff like you cannot believe. And they have become a serious competitor to us. You can see that Texas has also fallen out of the center of the universe, now down at number 25. This is oil and gas impact, by the way. Well, you can do this. There we go. Now get into the state. This is an interesting slide. Fort Collins, rockin' and rollin'. Larimer County, 3.6%. We're hanging tough at 2.9 with Colorado Springs. But what you don't see in here is the 2 years before this. 2 years before this, there was one metropolitan area in the region that was doing better than Colorado Springs. Anybody have a guess? Pueblo. Pueblo. You hear me? Pueblo. Lack of leadership in Colorado Springs, a great impulse in steel related to the clean tech company, mostly making towers for turbines for Vestas. They actually grew at 2.2% faster than Colorado Springs. Major turnaround in Colorado Springs. John Suthers becomes the mayor, and the world starts to change. Here's the employment stuff. Shouldn't be any surprise. We're looking about 45,000 jobs in 2016, and 17 a little bit less. This is annual employment rate. You can see Austin is beating us. They're always tough, but they're a smaller market, and so when they get increases in employment, the percentages tend to be larger. So the whole world knows about us now. These are 2 great quotes. Denver has no reason to exist. Perhaps that's why its inhabitants engage in such superlatives. That's from an editor of the London Times. The London freaking Times. Comes into my office, I'm going to spend a week here because B.A. lands here. He said, I'm going to come back and tell you something and what I found. I gave him the song, Dance, Seltzer Down Your Pants, kickoff, and he comes back and then on Friday and he sits down and he goes, you guys shouldn't exist. And I thought, this is going to be the crappiest article I've ever seen in my life. That was his opening sentence, okay? And just this last week, Pierre Gobet from Swiss Broadcasting, their kind of national broadcasting company, comes in, and at the end of the interview, he said, my God, Tom, 20 years ago, nobody in the world knew anything about Denver, Colorado. Today, everybody knows Denver, Colorado. So congratulations to all of you, because you've all been a part of this, right? So what are the 5 things that brought us here? Infrastructure, the idea that we could get the public to vote for massive infrastructure projects in the middle of a recession. Oil recession of 1983, what did we build? DIA. The dot-bomb run-up, what did we do? While it was going up, we built 2 stadiums. When it went down, we built fast tracks. The idea behind that is because those of you who are in the site selection business, you look for communities that are willing to invest in difficult times, because when the recession ends and the recovery occurs, that's the community you want to be in. They've got courage and they've got vision, and that was the reputation that we changed. Culture of collaboration, the way we do economic development, the way we work with the brokerage community, the way governments all don't fight with each other very much. Diversification of the economy. I just told you we're amongst the most diverse economies. Reuse of land, huge deal. Stapleton, the closings of the 2 major military facilities, and then placemaking in the urban center. These are not a surprise to you guys if you live here. DIA, $26 billion a year in annual impact. The stadiums made us a major league city. Today we have 7 major league sports going on in this community. How in the hell can you have indoor and outdoor lacrosse and make money, okay? Fast tracks is big stories everywhere. Big stories in Toronto Star, Bloomberg writes on us, I mean the list goes on and on. We're in our 3rd expansion of the convention center to keep us bringing convention corporate conventions into town. And with this vibrant downtown, what we do is we have one of the greatest opportunities to do some guerrilla marketing as a result of that. Last 5 years, we've had almost over $2 billion of investment around Union Station. When General Electric came here and decided they were going to go to Boston because it was a lot nicer place than Denver, but we got them into the Union Station, we couldn't get one of the guys out. He delayed the trip. I said, come on, I got to go here. I want to see at this bagel place. Like, I want to go in the Crawford Hotel. And they said, you're not going to choose this anyhow, you asshole. Let's just get out of here, right? And the last one, of course, is Anschutz. $5 billion economic impact, will eventually be the second largest economic generator in the Rocky Mountains. And there's all the fun stuff. We got to go back and let everybody walk down memory lane here. There's some of the stuff we did. The one on the lower left is Fitzsimmons Army Hospital, when we bought the land and gave it to the feds for $1. Shit. If we had held on to that, I would be so rich. Those of you who are members of our organization, I wouldn't have to ask you for any money, okay? Cultural collaboration, the regional economic development, which is the Metro Denver EDC, the Metro Mayor's Caucus, the first of its kind in the country, Scientific Cultural Facilities District, everybody please vote yes this year to renew it, the creation of the World Trade Center, the Urban Drainage District, and boy, were you pissed off in 1986 when you got your first urban drainage bill. And you're going to be angry this year too, by the way. The urban boundary, which was the idea of creating density by giving local governments options of trading land with one another as expansion of the footprint occurred. Fast tracks, obviously. Major league teams. It's nice to have Major League Baseball. I'm waiting for professional baseball. And finally, the mountain backdrop, which prohibits any kind of building above a certain tree line. Of course, here we did what we did is we went after clusters, and this was the key clusters that we do. You see we have a little star up there by beverage production. Craft brewing has done that for us, but it's not just beer, it's all these health drinks and all kinds of stuff in a community that's very focused on that. And here's what they look like when life is great. Aerospace, our most concentrated employment group, $150,000 average job, and we are the largest employer of a metro area of private sector aerospace jobs in the United States. If you get way over in the far side, you can see that clean tech is leading fossils, which are part of our energy cluster. Fossils right around 3%. Here's clean tech out at 8.5. The beauty of having two elements in energy matters to us, and a diversification option. Recession-proof healthcare and wellness, going to be bigger and bigger sometime in your children's lifetime when we finish the VA. And you'll see investments. And investments was the fourth quarter of 2011 when Jerry Brown decided to give us the greatest gift in North America. He increased his corporate income tax by 11%, or 35%, excuse me. We called up Hickenlooper and we said, John, you're a good friend of Chuck. Can you go down there? And he goes down and meets with Chuck. Chuck sits there and he said, I'm going to empty San Francisco. You're going to get the biggest piece. We'll do something in the other surrounding spoke states. And you know that small project of 800 employees is now going to about 6,000 down in the southeast. Placemaking, extraordinary deal for us. Does anybody remember where the convention was originally going to be located? Well, Phil Anschutz tried to put it at Union Station, but then we decided to put it down at Spear and Bannock. Next time you're down there, get out of your car and see how frickin' far that is from downtown. It would have been a stranded asset. Instead of ULI came in and said, you guys get it into downtown, put it in town. We got rid of a really decrepit old convention center. Then the next fight was over Coors Field. Phil Anschutz wanted it to be where the Pepsi Center was because he owned the land. We knew that if you put 81 days a year, you put 42,000 people crossing across Spear Boulevard, you'd probably get fatalities, lots of them. Our argument was, let's put it in a place that's got a super fun site and 212 telegraph poles. Telegraph poles, not telephone poles. That's how old it was. And put Pepsi Center where there's a sea of parking. And guess what? We catalyzed downtown at Coors Field, and then along came Union Station, which nobody ever thought we were going to get to. That's how we got there. And I'm at 15 minutes beyond my time, if I'm not certain. you want me to take any questions, Barry? Any questions from the audience? 2017 is going to be an interesting year for us, just so you know. We think that home builders will carry this because there's still a huge backdrop or a backlog in single family. We've got some new ideas regarding to construction defects that we think will finally allow mayors to put projects right on TOD sites. That's a huge advantage for us. And right now, last year we had 11,500 condos sold in Metro Denver. Anybody want to guess how many were built? 187. So it's because millennials don't want to own anything, right? And it's just the market. It is. It's the legal market. We're pretty bullish, obviously. We've all worked, many of you in the room have worked here as long as I have, about 30 years of trying to build this extraordinary place. We've gotten there. I believe, and I will tell you this unabashedly, that I believe this is the greatest generation of business leaders in the history of metropolitan Denver. The real goal after this, though, is to make the next generation the greatest generation of Metro Denver. That's how we keep this an extraordinary place. That's how everybody in the world knows Denver, Colorado, and not be that place that everybody looks back longingly and say, God, why couldn't we do it like those folks? Whatever happened to us? You don't want that to happen. So you millennials in the room, you next geners, God damn it, help us, okay? Thank you very much.